This is a brief video on building an EMO or EDI management office. It's kind of like a PMO, project management office, except instead of managing documentation for the business area, an EMO will actually manage and oversee the electronic data files. And I've got this simple outline here. The reason why I'm putting this together is that really, let's just jump down to the bottom here where it says undetected errors pull resources from all areas as data is processed, which causes major resource impacts. The reason why I want to point this out to companies is that there are companies too often, I think, just want to ignore the X12 data. And what is actually happening is that when the data comes in, if it has errors, or that are coming from trading partners, for example, then someone at the front end might be impacted, or the first station where it comes in, or maybe the first line of edits, are applied, or when it goes into the database, and then people have to discover and define the errors there, and then on the back end when it causes multiple errors as it goes through the adjudication process, etc. That's why we're defining these as data cancers. And I think there's a mentality there in some people, in some areas where they think that, well, we don't want to mess with the EDI. We just want to pull everything into the system and then we'll handle the errors from that point. And that's I think that's a prevalent methodology, but you're really costing a lot of resources, and the damage that you're ingesting is multiplied incrementally when you do that. And the folks that recommend that are the people that don't understand EDI. And so they're playing to their own favor. And so what I'm spelling out here is something that is a strategy that's just, I won't even call it wisdom, I'll just call it common sense. What is happening a lot of times in the industry is that instead of understanding EDI, folks are just rejecting everything, the whole file, if there's something very, very small, which causes all kinds of problems with throughput and with data processing. You're going to have lost clients. You're going to have upset patients. You're going to have a lot of support caused by upset patients. There's just any number of errors, or I guess lost resource time, that you're going to incur if you don't solve the problem at the top of the flow. So very briefly here, what are the functions of an EMO? It helps to select software, design and develop companion guides, and set the rules. It's HIPAA X12 format management. This office will define what's acceptable and what's not. Okay, the next point is trading partner data support. And specifically, this is the detective work to detect and define the data cancers, the bad data that acts like a cancer to every functional area that it touches. You want to get the biggest return on your investment. You need an EMO to do that. Something at the front end. The next point, X12 data error resolution. Okay, this is different from the second point in that instead of just detecting and defining, this function actually provides the common sense or the methodologies that are acceptable to the company that's doing the data processing. This is an important part of an EMO, the EDI resolution guide for all things EDI, whether you're working in the cloud or whether you're just working on maybe some conversion projects or dealing with flat file conversions to or from a HIPAA format. Okay, and lastly, the overall function of an EMO is basically like an insurance policy. It keeps your data flowing by identifying the errors quickly and building the temporary or long-term fixes as quick as possible, and with a planned strategy, not just willy-nilly. So that's it. I just wanted to point that out. I think a lot of folks have really skirted around this issue so much that I think that the industry really needs to adopt this and build yourself a department, build an EMO department that will help set this up. And you'll also need a decent EDI validator. It doesn't always have to cost $1 million. But anyway, this will get you going into, I guess, a high level framework on what you need to do to set up and build your EMO. Thanks for watching my video.